No. And that's not because it could have survived if we'd taken the warnings of the limits to growth seriously back in the 1970s, because it was clear then that we were on a trajectory of overshooting the limits of the planet. And if we'd brought in a range of policies at that stage, including population control was one of those policies, but so was a transition from fossil-based fuel to non-fossil-based fuel starting in 1975, orientation to reduce unnecessary consumption, to improve our capacity to handle pollution, etc., etc. If we'd followed all those policies in 75, we could have continued on indefinitely. Instead, and this again is where William Nordhaus plays a major role, Nordhaus disparaged and trivialised the limits to growth by misunderstanding it, particularly sending up its predictions on population and arguing that if you look at the equations, you get predictions for population growth increasing with wealth when it actually fell. And he was challenged by that by J. Forrester, and Forrester's reply was not published in the economic journal. It wasn't accepted by the economic journals. So it completely undermined Nordhaus's trashing of limits to growth. But that disparaging treatment of limits to growth dominated how it was received. And we then have gone hell for leather, trying to encourage the maximum rate of economic growth, which means we've now overshot the planetary boundaries. And we're seeing many illustrations of that. I mean, of course, you and I, we're talking right now when America has got a crazy combination of weather crises right now. On the West Coast, they have unprecedented bushfires, turning, not just burning in forests that have never burnt before, but in the process of turning those forests into deserts or savannas, whereas they were once, heavy forests. On the other side, you have the cyclones. We're now up to Zeta on the naming convention. We're a month ahead of the most extreme number of storms in a year. We're easily going to defeat that. And if you look at where the Gulf Stream is, the Gulf Stream, not the Gulf Stream, pardon me, the polar, I've forgotten, there's nothing polar vortex, but it's the polar circulation system. That is dipping right down to Texas right now. So on one side of it, you've got bushfires burning California. On the other, you've got snow landing in Texas. Why is this happening? It's because by increasing the amount of energy retained from the sun, we have changed the major weather patterns of the planet. And the one we're most obviously changing rapidly is the Arctic summer sea ice, which means rather than having ice which reflects 90% plus of the solar energy falling on it, we've got blue and virtually black water absorbing pretty much 90% of the energy. That now means that particular cold focus has disappeared. The only large cold object over there around which the polar vortex can rotate is Greenland. And there's been a shift in that vortex of something of the order of 10 to 15 degrees in a very short period of time. And therefore, that polar vortex is now, when you get the move towards winter in the northern hemisphere, moving much more further south, and you start getting these crazy, crazy effects. So we have mucked with the system, with the planet's climate system so badly that when we realise how much damage we've done, and we start getting positive feedbacks from the climate system as well, and the breakdown of the ice accelerating the breakdown of Greenland is one of those effects, and then the Gulf Stream, polar vortex, all these things changing, we're going to potentially undermine the capacity of the biosphere to support human civilization, if not life in general. And economics, the economists, as I said, particularly William Nordhaus, but the whole group of so-called climate change economists under that neoclassical banner, they've got a primary responsibility for this. And so I don't think capitalism can survive what neoclassical economics has set it up for.